Damn, Perk did this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
That like outside of the West in these different countries, like they celebrate, like they just celebrate just to celebrate, right? And so in Colombia they have like 26, they have 26 holidays a year that they celebrate and that they take off from work. Like outside of the West, they value family more than work, because I was telling them, like, for me, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, but I got to start getting like everyone on board starting from like April, May. But like with my ex, like her mom could say like, hey, we're having a get together. 3 hours later, everybody's there. Everybody's there within 3 hours.
Popping. It was popping in 3 hours. You have a get together and it lasts 2 days.
Right, exactly. And so it's just so different, because like the tradition has, it's just lost here. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the tradition here is just lost, man.
And these are some of the reasons why I talk about things like this, right? I understand why, like some of the cats, they go overseas and they see this tradition and they're like, man, when I was young, we used to really do it big on Thanksgiving, and we haven't got together for Thanksgiving at all, and that's why they want that. Listen, the thing that gets me the most about the detractors of the Passport Brothers is that, like Scott said, they're not asking the why. The women aren't asking the why. The men who are detracting aren't asking the why. I mean, they want to make it seem like there's a bunch of non-select dudes who can't do anything, who are dusty.
Right.
Like weaving and sandling, like O'Shea Duke Jackson. Say shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson.
Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson.
Yeah, man. Shout out to O'Shea.
That's not the truth. The truth is like I've never had a problem speaking with women. I've never had a problem with attracting women.
Yep.
And you can ask Scott. I was 150 pounds heavier, and I thought I was the bee's knees. I go up to her with my Biggie Small swagger, breathing heavy, like, "How you doing?" So I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't traveling for that. I was traveling because that feeling. I found another place besides like my grandma's house where people were together once a week.
Yeah.
Where like when you say dinner's at 6 o'clock and people like stop what they're doing, there is no video games. There is no talking on the phone. There is no social media. Stop and eat dinner at 6 o'clock.
Right.
And then go back. And then we have the nerve to call these people backwards.
Right.
Where that's actually not backwards. That's like forward. We're backwards. If I got a little computer that's telling me that I can't talk to my mama while she didn't cook dinner, there's a problem. And so I think that's why a lot of brothers are attracted to that lifestyle. They get over there and they're like, wow. Because if it wasn't, there wouldn't be so many dudes who are relocating.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the expats are growing more and more. It's growing a lot, and you're right. Like we yearn, we yearn for that tradition. We yearn for that, we yearn for that. The fact that like there's so much focus on family, because like, I mean, most people, if you ask them like how many times like do they see their family, in a year, like it's probably like, less than 5. Sometimes it may even be less than 3, because everyone is so hyper focused on work and whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like every Sunday it was a get together, cookout, grandma, cousins, auntie, everybody was there, you know what I mean? Like every Sunday, no matter what. What would you say? And Scott, I know that you've only been to like 3 countries, but Scott, what would you say out of the 3 countries was the most impactful for you, and why?
I would say Mongolia. Yeah, I would have to say
Okay.
Mongolia. I don't know. Cuzco's people that are living near Rainbow Mountain in Peru was a trip too. And the reason why I say that is Mongolia over like Rainbow Mountain in Peru is because there are people that are still living the very, very traditional lifestyles where
Mhm.
they're like the Andes Indians.
Yeah.
So we're up like 20,000 feet. And if you ever walked up in an elevation of 20,000 feet, you're going to, especially if you have muscles on you or you have a lot of body weight, you're going to get tired really quickly, very
Yeah.
tired quickly. And these people are like just walking like it's normal. They're walking up hills that's 25,000 feet in elevation. And it's just absolutely insane. And then
Right.
the Mongolians, when we went over to the yurt,
Mhm.
which happen to be like the nomadic lifestyle where it's their homes and they have like 5 different yurts, which would be 5 different like big
Yeah.
tents. And they actually have a TV in there. They have their kids' medals all over. They're living a nomadic lifestyle. They got their livestock. They got hundreds of sheep and horses, or not horses, but sheep and goats and other livestock around, and they're just living off the land. So like to me, those are
Right.
the most impactful countries where I got to see how people lived, where they embraced the traditional cultures while at the same time using the newer technologies to still preserve their traditions. So
Yeah.
that to me was like
Yeah.
like kind of a trip. Like, wow,
Yeah.
these are how these people live.
Right.
Mhm.
All right, man. And for you, Grover.
It's definitely Mongolia. Mongolia, like I always say, going to Mongolia was like being transported to a different dimension because I just didn't understand how the culture was going to affect me. Like the biggest rage in Mongolia is salsa dancing, so people love to dance salsa. Uh,
Really?
yeah, and like me and Scott, we actually befriended the cat who like brought salsa to Mongolia like 10, 12
Shout out
years
to
ago.
Ehab.
Yeah, brother Ehab, he's a Sudanese cat from the UK, and he was a champion salsa dancer, and he went out there and he just wanted to dance, taught someone how to dance salsa, and
By
then
the way, he's a big guy too.
yeah, a big smooth guy salsa, and
Oh
then
wow. Okay.
they taught people, and all of a sudden there's like 9 salsa clubs going on, or like how they're how just different cultures there all got along and they were really cool. Or just to like the culture of Mongolia, like you step on someone's foot, you got to shake their hand instantly or it might be some ruckus. And so it's like or just the way, like, you know, you're a guest, you eat first, somebody hands you a cup, you grab it from the bottom. I was just really fascinated with the different cultural aspects of it. And of course Genghis Khan came from there and he conquered the known world, you know, except for Japan.
Grover, explain why they want you to hand over the cup by under the cup.
Oh, so you can't use it as a weapon.
Oh wow.
Their
Okay.
warrior culture there.
Yeah, it's a super warrior culture. And I mean, hey, I almost like, God, I had to call Scott. There was a few dudes who was getting heated at me because the ladies we were with were arguing, and they were arguing with some guys. I didn't really understand what was going on. And I said, hey, why are you talking to these guys like this? And this guy looks at me and says, don't talk when Mongolians are talking. I was like, what? And then they kind of bucked up, and then Scott came up. And so then it was a little more even, and we worked it out so there wasn't a conflict. But you know, it's just like, it was just a real place. The nomadic family was awesome. I got drunk off of fermented horse milk, which is crazy. I had to take a nap. So it was just a dope place. But I think the people were most enlightening, that how open and friendly they were, because like my first time there, because I went twice, Scott went once. The first time I went there by myself, the way they don't have Uber or Lyft, so when you want to ride, you just kind of flag somebody down on the street. They'll give you a ride for a few dollars, because you know it's the coldest capital in the world. It could be like -26. You need a ride home or you freeze to death.
Right.
And so I flagged this dude down. He gave me a ride to, you know, I was staying on the outskirts of town, and we talked. Found out his sister lived in Sacramento, which is, you know, a couple hours away from me, and we had a conversation. He told me how many times he had a petition to come to America, but they keep denying his visa, but he's going to try again, you know. And then I told him, he gave me a ride, you know, to the outskirts of town, and he said, listen, man, I had such a great conversation. I don't want any money, man, because I would have never met you. So I gave him my information. And I told him, listen, when you get your visa, you come out here. If I'm in the Bay Area, I'll give you a ride to your sister's house, man, and we'll have another conversation.
Yep.
And that's the type of connection I made there with people. And this is just regular cats.
Number one, you have to get evidence that they're actually doing that thing. And number two, let's say if they are doing that thing, then whoever they're with in that other country, who's saying that person's not willing to engage with them in a business transaction. So like, I don't know, that's just like, it's too superficial to really analyze without understanding the full context of the situation between the two parties. And so like, yeah, I don't understand the hate. To me, I see it as like, there's more competition that's happening.
Right.
And so women are very afraid. I mean, think about this, like when I speak with women, they're afraid about their age. They're afraid of getting older. And now you're hearing about guys going over to other countries to marry other women, to date other women. Now it's even more fierce competition with them, where they're fighting with Father Time, but now they're fighting with or competing with foreign women that they know that they're having a harder time to compete with because the programming of living in the United States or Western ideology is really pushing this narrative of strong, independent, I don't need no man. And especially from my own dating experiences, and I love American women, you know, I'm being a pander right there, but it's like the sign language is strong. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right is really strong. So that's my answer.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, all right, you, sir, Grover.
All right. So I would go to Thailand, about years ago, and they would have the NGOs there, the nonprofits and they would like take pictures of you just talking to a woman and say that you were a trafficker. They would take pictures of you, they took pictures of this guy buying a kid some food and said he was doing something with that child. And so I always tell people, you have to be careful of what you're being fed by folks with an agenda. Are there people who do bad things? Yes, they are. But most of them, by far, don't look like passport bros. Let's just be real. If you look at the demographics, if you're looking at somebody who's exploiting children, it's usually a 64-year-old person who doesn't look like me or Scott. You know, so
What are you trying to say, Grover?
I'm trying to say it's usually if the FBI says a trafficker, a 64-year-old Caucasian with a lot of money. That's what the FBI says, not me, right? And so when you look at that, they were always pushing this narrative of exploitation. Internet was big right after 9/11. It really got hot, and so I always look at this when I see that they say passport. I want to see proof, and I want to see evidence that it's being done. If someone has proof of it, they get caught, then they should go to jail and be pressed to the full extent of the law. But statistically, it's impossible to assign bad behavior to one person to a whole group of folks. But they do this all the time, and they do it in my community all the time because they would try to act like just an analogy. They try to act like Black America is like 80% in jail, whereas less than 1.5% of Black Americans are incarcerated population-wise. And so they're doing the same thing. Like maybe less than 1% of passport bros are exploiting women in any way, but they're going to try to juxtapose that and use that straw man to do everybody else. Listen, man, the original passport bros were military, and the only thing that they were getting exploited was their money on shore leave. So it is what it is.
So yeah, also there's an anecdotal observation on my part.
Sure.
And I'm a product of a Vietnamese woman and a white father. And my mom, of course, she immigrated over here, so I'm the byproduct of that. And like I said, I'm feeling uncomfortable that I'm even saying this, but it's like I've noticed just me going around the internet and being a ninja watcher, watching everyone and their comment section and how people are engaging with people on Twitter.
Yep.
It seems like it's really hard for me to say, but Black women seem to have a real big issue with passport bros because white women have been knowing that their men have been going overseas and marrying people of other races and creating people like me, you know? So that's the observation I've noticed, and that's all I gotta say.
Scott,
yeah,
so,
I
but it's just what I've noticed. That's what I've noticed.
I appreciate you saying that, Scott, and I know that it was probably like a little bit uncomfortable for you to say, but the thing is that it's the truth, though. It's the truth because the thing is like and I'll say this: you don't need to respond, Scott. I got this one. But the thing about it is that the sisters have been pushing this false narrative, as even like on the interview with Fox News, like they tried to say that Austin was trying to solicit, and I'm like, what? I'm like, he never mentioned anything about money. He never mentioned anything about money. And if you had watched the video, then you would know that. But they didn't watch the video. All they saw was the comments and the vitriol, and they said, "Oh, he must be a bad guy." And see, and this is what I said on Monday. I said verbatim that people like to read the front cover of the book, but don't like to read the chapters. That is a problem.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
People are headline readers for sure.
That you got it. That's exactly what I was saying.
I mean, because like the way we do when we create content as content creators, we're focusing on the title and the thumbnail. We're going to be as attention grabbing as we can.
Right.
That's just the name of the game. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, exactly. Like, yeah, it's the it's the name of the game, right?